Hey, it's Karel and welcome to Life in Segments, this holiday edition, but hold on just a second. Steve and I hear a lot of chopping out there. I don't want the celery too thin, you know. What are you chopping? What are you chopping?
I'm chopping celery, but there's a lot of it.
Well, how thin are you making it?
I'm making it chunky, but not really thin.
All right, well, don't make it really thin.
Okay.
All right, great. Can you see the holiday stress that I'm under? I mean, really. It is the holidays, and it can cause a lot of stress. We're going to tell you how to alleviate that stress and how to not get in fights with your relatives. Do you know what this is? Have any of you seen it before? It's a vaporizer. You take cannabis or other things and put it in there. You stick it right there. You put this on. If you were someone that had stress, if you were someone that had glaucoma, if you were someone that had nausea, if you had someone that had chronic pain, if you were someone with anxiety, if you were someone that just wanted to relax after work and not destroy your liver, your kidney, or any other part of your body, if you were someone that was sitting around at a party and didn't want a hangover the next day, there's many, many reasons you might fill up this bag with vapors. The cannabis industry is coming to America. Are you ready for it? We're going to tell you everything you need to know about that and so much more. Then we're going to stop by KGO AM 810 where I do a little radio show and we're going to tune in for that too. And just thinking of that gives me great stress. What, you're a little upset that I really did it?
Stronger, stronger together. Stronger, stronger together.
Oh my God, the last place I'd ever want to be is inside a closet. Again. But this thing back here could save you thousands of dollars a year on groceries. That's right, groceries and other herbs could save you tens of thousands of dollars a year. It's called My Culture Closet, and it's part of the new green economy. In fact, the #1 growth economy in the United States is pot. And with this, you could grow it, and no one would ever have to know. We're going to meet the inventor, we're going to go to a dispensary, and we're going to talk cannabis here on Cannabis Corner. I am Karel, and somewhere along the line I'm getting high, legally, under the laws of the state of California. Inside this bag is legal pot. Now, here's the weirdness of it. Because it is still a federally, do you know this, right? Because it's federally illegal, I can't technically take this from this spot to my house.
It's illegal to transport.
Right, I cannot transport this from my... So legally, the way it works now in states that have medical pot, that haven't addressed this issue like ours, I can buy it, I can have it, but I can't take it home.
Exactly.
Isn't that stupid?
It's very stupid.
That's so stupid. That is so stupid. But that's the way it is, at least in California right now. You can buy it, you can have it, but technically you're not supposed to transport it. So how do you get around that? It's closed shut, and it's in a medicine ban. Legally, they can't ask you to open a medicine bag. That's your private medical information, and it's protected under the law, under the HIPAA laws. So they can't open this bag. So if you leave this closed on your way from point A to point B, and you do get stopped and they do want to be an ass about it, they can't open the bag, right? That's right.
That's right.
I mean,
They
Greg
also,
is my expert on all of these things.
They also recommend putting it in a trunk.
A trunk?
Because if a police officer were to pull you over, they can't search your trunk without a warrant. If they were to search your trunk with a warrant, again, your medicine is stapled shut and protected.
When we walk in the store here, there's a security guard who takes your ID, and he takes this form. Now this form is a doctor's recommendation, which means basically this is crap. You know that, right?
Sure.
I mean, anybody can go get one of these. I mean,
insomnia.
right? Oh, I have a stomach ache, or oh, last night I had a headache. Okay, you need
PMS.
right PMSing. I mean, yeah, anything. So, or MMSing or whatever. And it's of course all moving towards legalization. And when that happens, you're going to want to grow it because this little bottle right here inside, which I'll show you when we get home, cost me $50. What I'm going to show you that he makes can save you tens of thousands. Not just on pot either, but vegetables and fruits and herbs and all this stuff. So we're going to take our burgers and we're going to go look at his My Culture Closet, leaving our dispensary, which is right in the middle of a nondescript neighborhood, right next to a burger stand, which is fine with me. I have illegally, quite frankly, transported this from the ridiculousness of the laws, but now I can open it. Now I'm sitting in front of something very special, but first I want to show you this, because this is what you get when you go to a pot dispensary in a medical state. This was $50. Oh, they gave me a free joint. Seems like Christmas. Isn't that cool? See, does your liquor store give you a free little shot of something when you go? And this is my 5-gram eighth. It says RX because remember, this is a prescription. We're in a medical state. I'm legal now to smoke it here at Greg's house. I'm allowed to do that. I have my certificate with me, so I'm legally, under the law, allowed to do this. I'm a pretty average user, so I go through an eighth a week. So I was looking for ways to cut down on my expenses, because I do use it medically for pain and for nausea, all kinds of things, stress. And so I was looking for a better way, and someone bought a fish tank from me, and he has invented a better way. And you met him earlier. It's Greg Farron. Come here, Greg. Sit on my... We spare no expense at Karel Life in Segments. I'm telling you right now. I started talking about food deserts and the fact that in my neighborhood, sometimes it's easier to get a gum than a tomato.
Absolutely.
And you said, hey, I've done something that can change that.
Sure.
And this is it. It's called My Culture Closet. It can be done so it can be as just, you won't even know it's in your house. They are about, what, $2,000 to $3,000 all?
They start at $2,000.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, they let people grow independent of their season or climate. If they live in Arizona or Alaska, everyone can enjoy the same foods. And not only that, they could bring new foods into their household.
Right, so if there's a food that's not in your region, you could then grow it here.
Exactly.
How hard is it? Because everyone's thinking, I don't have it. Now, I don't have a green thumb, and I've killed many a plant, and yet I can grow in this. Why? How is it possible for me, the idiot, to grow in one of these?
So we consider these the plug and grow for the average Joe, and it's as easy as just watering the plants a couple times a week. It's less work to take care of Wonka, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Wonka.
Than it is to grow whatever you want.
Now this was $50, and it's a 5-gram eighth, a little over an eighth. An eighth is 3.5. An eighth is 3.5. 7 is a quarter. 14 would be a half, and 28 is an ounce, right? So 28 grams is an ounce. This is like 5, and it's $50. So you do the math. It's, $250, $300 an ounce. How many ounces could someone get out of this or something like this?
So every 10 weeks, our clients pull about 10 ounces. So we say it yields about an ounce a week, and that's growing from clone. It saves them money over time. They could have about
that saves them $6,000 right there.
Absolutely.
Right.
They could even go through the drying process on the inside of this as well. They're getting introduced to these dispensaries, and as a medical patient here in California, we could also grow or cultivate.
Yeah, but in Colorado, where it's legal, they're raping them out there.
Oh,
how much are they paying?
Recreational eighths go for about $75 for a 3.5, not a 5-gram eighth like you.
So you times that by 8, you're at like $800 an ounce for pot?
It's ridiculous, and the quality.
When it becomes legal, how are we going to prevent this kind of price gouging? I mean, how would we not? I mean, the average person won't be able to afford that.
Sure. No.
And we know that medically it does do good things for you.
Absolutely.
And people really should have it if they have certain conditions. Insurance ain't going to copay that.
Right.
How are they going to?
To grow, the only way that they could really get around that is to cultivate their own.
All right.
And as he's taking a rip out of that, the culture closet comes completely customizable with everything on the inside and on the outside. We can make them look like anything to match your interior decorations from appearance, and then we can make them operate as our clients want with different lighting systems, odor control systems, ventilation systems.
Would it control this odor right now?
We have storage for our supplies, lighting system, our nutrients, scissors, what have you, all completely. Everything's enclosed on the culture closet. They're portable through doorways and hallways. No need to modify.
How much are they
the
selling
house.
these for?
Those are about $10.
$10
For a joint, yeah. $7 to $10.
A shot of Jameson 6.
Right. It's embarrassing. I mean, you have to be rich to be.
Which would get me more high? Do you think, a shot of Jameson's or that?
That.
And that doesn't have a hangover.
No hangover whatsoever.
So the alcohol companies don't want me to have this.
No.
Is that really the biggest problem in America, the alcohol companies?
And pharmaceutical companies.
Really? Do you think as pot becomes legal, the people that start taking over the sale and growth of it are going to try to make this illegal, growing at home?
I sure hope not.
You can't grow tobacco. Did you know you can't grow tobacco?
I did not know that.
And I bet you one day they're going to try to put you out of business because you could put them out of business. Do you think we're going to legalize in 2016 here?
I sure hope we do.
They're going into this with very ridiculous legislation that is not the same anywhere. So one state's rules are different from another state's rules. And do you know what could end all this ridiculous bullcrap? Do you know what could end it? It's called Congress. It's called Congress. 455 fools that sit up there and do nothing. They could uniform all of this just right away. Just make a bill, let's get it legal, let's declassify it. It's still a Schedule 1, is it not? It's still like heroin. It's still classified like heroin, right?
Sure. I think it's actually legalized in D.C. now.
Yeah, well, they need to be high in Congress. And so the Senate.
Well, it's legal to smoke, not legal to buy.
Right, and then you can still be fired even in our state if you smoke it legally, but they can still fire you because it's federally illegal.
Right.
And they're fighting this now in several states and saying, okay, I have a prescription. So in other words, you can be on OxyContin, Percocet, Soma, all of that. If you have a prescription and you pee, that's fine. But if they get pot in that same urine and it's legal for you, you will be fired.
Correct.
This is ridiculous. This is the pot policy in America right now. And as we're moving forward, we've always got to remember that we've got to get some uniformity and catch up. Greg, thank you so much.
Yeah, no,
thank you for letting me use this remarkable looking little thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Wonka. Yes. Hey, it's Crazy Karel, and I got holiday deals for you. That's right. Come on down to Free Speech TV, where you can get freedom of speech for anything you can afford. That's right. $5, $10, $15, and you're going to keep your favorite host on air all year round, right here at Free Speech TV. Just go to freespeech.org. That's freespeech.org, and make your donation today. It's the holidays. We're taking any donation. No donation is too small. We are crazy here at Free Speech TV.
Kids don't know right from wrong. Everybody's self-absorbed. No.
Tell me, can we change? And
Can we change?
There's
Gotta be a better way. Oh yeah, that is the Austin Life Maze. There's gotta be a better way. I am Karel. It is KGO News Talk 810, keeping it live, keeping it local. I have the answer. I have the solution. And you're not gonna like it. There are 8 protests going on tonight in 8 different cities over 6 different uses of police force, excessive, that occurred just in the last 2 months. And it ain't new. And it's like Bill Cosby, I'm telling you. One person came forward, now there's 20. The more that we hear about this, the more people that are gonna come forward, the more research that's gonna be done, and the more we examine police departments around the country, the more we're gonna find this ain't a problem that's new. And it ain't going away unless you do one thing. I'll tell you what that is in just a second. 415-808-0810 is my number. Shaka in Oakland, welcome to the Karel Cast.
Hey, thank you, Karel, for being courageous enough to speak to this, man. I'm a child of the 60s. I was involved with civil rights as it kind of morphed into black power.
Mm-hmm.
And these are issues that it's not going to end up nice. Black people are going to start arming themselves.
But that's not the answer.
Civil rights, it's not the answer, but guess what? That's how civil rights started, peaceful, and people got hoses sicked on them. They got mad dogs sicked on them. They got a lot of stuff happening. So I'm not saying I advocate that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's inevitable if people feel no hope.
That they turn violent. Yes, some will. You're absolutely right. In absence of hope, despair can reign, and it can sometimes turn to violence. You're right. You're very, very right. Thank you. We saw that during the civil rights movement. Marilyn in San Francisco, thank you for your call. Welcome. Hello, Marilyn.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi.
I called just to tell him, your producer, to tell you thanks for bringing this subject up like this and putting it this way. But you know, these so-called religious, there is a golden rule, I think, that all religions speak to. And if we could just think like...
Thou shalt not kill? Is that the one we're thinking?
Yes. That's
Yeah,
what
thou
I'm
shalt.
thinking.
Right, Marilyn. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much of that these days, and thank you. Because what we're talking about, you want to blame racism. That's too easy. It is too freaking easy. I'm not going to let you get away with that. I'm not going to let you turn this into racism completely and totally, because that's not what it totally is now. We have a systemic problem in the United States with policing. Ask anybody who now comes in contact with police. They are afraid they are going to die. White, black, yellow, brown. Now, granted, the fear is greater if you're black or brown. But if you're gay and white, you're still afraid. Trust me. If you're in drag, you're still afraid. If you're transgendered, you're really afraid. And so what do? Here's what we do. I'm going to take all your calls. We might have to extend the topic because you're not going to like my solution. We have to disarm 2/3 of police. Now, why isn't anybody talking about that? Last night, if that police officer didn't have a gun to pull on the guy at Hollywood and Highland, there wouldn't be a dead person and 10 shots fired into a crowd. We have to disarm 2/3 of our police like they do in other countries. The first responders, the beat cops, except in extraordinarily high-risk areas, should not have lethal force. They should have to call that in, call for reinforcements, contain the situation. You know, what's wrong if a burglar gets away? What's wrong if someone gets away with a necklace they've stolen from a store? What's wrong with that? Should people die over that? They do. What's wrong with someone said Michael Brown knocked over a liquor store? What's wrong with someone that knocks over a liquor store getting away if you know who it is? If you got video, if you know who it is, what's wrong with them getting away temporarily? What, you're going to be able to catch them again? I'm sorry. If your answer to inept police work is that if we back off from a situation and don't escalate it, that the person might get away, unless they're a capital offender? Tom and Susin, welcome to the Karel Cast on KGO, keeping it live, keeping it local. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm keeping it real. I'm in state prison right now. You know,
You are in state prison. You are calling me from state prison.
Yes. And I'm just letting you know that, hey, the corrupt cops over here are even worse, man, in this institution in San Quentin right now. You know?
So you see law enforcement from a separate side?
Oh, you see in the whole different, hey, they're beating the hell out of us in here.
There are some who hear that and don't care because they figure, well, you're in San Quentin, you deserve the hell beaten out of you.
And they don't got guns.
Right.
They don't carry guns. They carry batons.
Right, and they do just as much damage, don't they? So you actually bolster my argument that in a very dangerous place like a prison, they don't carry guns. Thanks for your call. And do I thank him for listening to me in prison? Well, captive audience. Sean in Oakland, welcome. And I believe we need to disarm 2/3 of cops like they do in London, like they do in Ireland, like they do in Germany, like they do in a majority of countries where the first responders have non-lethal. And I want them to have the best non-lethal in the world. You know, we don't use, before we go to the calls, we don't use a Betamax anymore, okay? You now stream movies to your Apple TV or your Roku or whatever, okay? We've come a long way from the Betamax. Why? People wanted it. There was a market. We are not demanding non-lethal alternatives for cops. We're not demanding that kids stop being killed just because all a policeman has to draw is a gun. But if kids are going to keep getting killed because all they have to draw is a gun, then take the guns away. Sean in Oakland, welcome.
If we take the guns away, there's still guns on the street.
Well, that argument doesn't hold in London, in Ireland, and many other civilized countries, so it's not going to hold here. And we've tried it your way for 230 plus years, and it doesn't work.
That's because those countries are
No. It's not working, Sean. Our policing system in America is not working. It is woefully broken.
It's not broken.
Really?
It needs some repairs.
Some repair. You don't think there's a systemic problem of abuses, of cover-ups? You don't think if we examine every major police force that we are going to find problems?
I think if you look in any organization, you're going to find
You're now
problems.
excusing that away? This is the police department. This is not any organization. These are armed people who behave almost above the law.
I think police are inherently good, and every day they do the right thing. And I think it's easy.
Why can't they do it without a gun?
Because the society is dangerous.
So is it? What's so dangerous? What's so dangerous here that's not so dangerous in London? That's not so dangerous in Ireland? That's not, and maybe we should examine that. What's so dangerous? What are we so afraid of that we need these armed militias on the streets who are pulling their weapons and killing our kids? What is so dangerous?
You need to go.
What is so, don't you tell me where I need to go, honey. I live in the hood. So you tell me what is so dangerous that you can't walk the street without an armed militia behind you? What is so dangerous?
Maybe you should go right.
Oh, Sean, I've done ride-alongs. I've done it. I've done ride-alongs in South Central, Sean, that would make your hair curl. What's the point?
You don't think they need guns in South Central?
Did I not say except in extraordinarily high-risk areas? Hollywood and Highland is not an extraordinarily high-risk area. The platform at Fruitville Station, not exactly a high-risk area. Thanks for your call, Sean. Dan in Vallejo, welcome.
I don't trust any opinions that any person in the media like yourselves have about any subject because all you're interested in is people loving you. And since you live
No,
in
I'm
the
interested
area,
in people not dying anymore at the hands of police.
oh,
So
you
how
do
do we
it
do that, Dan? Do you have a solution, or are you just an a-hole with a telephone?
Identify. You wanna
Which is it, Dan? Do you have an opinion, or are you just an a-hole with a phone?
You're a phone.
Ah, so an a-hole with a phone. Thank you for your call. James, welcome.
Sir, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I have an uncle that's retired 20 plus years. I have a nephew that's an officer currently, and both of them have told me stories about the department's in-house. They are pretty much above the law. My nephew told me
Of course they're above the law. This organization systemically is broken. We know it and we tolerate it because we need them.
That's the thing, is that I agree with you 100%. The thing is that the mass media wants to make this a racial issue, what's been going on in these two different New York and Ferguson.
Well, I think that blacks have suffered disproportionately at the broken system, but their suffering is just part of a bigger broken system. But first, some straight talk and the lowdown about getting high. In fact, the numbers are so staggering, I'm having a senior moment, and I've got to read them right here, because can you believe that we spend $17.4 billion, according to a 2010 Harvard study, on the prosecution and incarceration? However, if we legalize, right away, $1.53 billion comes into every state's economy. The amount of the national legal marijuana market is worth $10.2 billion. And by the way, that's about $3 billion more than the NFL. The estimated amount of the national legal marijuana market, the national legal market will be worth in 5 years, according to the same report, is $98 million. The total tax revenue that Colorado could reap in the fiscal year, $10 million. The estimated number of marijuana industry jobs that exist in Colorado and how much they benefit, $190 million in jobs in their economy.
Of course, as you know, I like the people that I'm sitting with, Amy and Steve and Jules Long Beach, but a lot of times we go to these family gatherings. We talked about food growing up and how much it meant, at these gatherings. I think a lot of us grew up going to gatherings where it wasn't always happy and joyous. In fact, sometimes it was pretty dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? People would argue, people fight, or people don't like each other, or people disapprove of each other. And then, as we moved on, some of us even stopped going to those because they just got to be too much. And we had to have the courage to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. But it really brings, the holidays bring an interesting dynamic together when you bring different people from all these places together, families, because you live in the same roof usually, and you bring them together in one house for about 12 hours. Oftentimes, so what about that? Like, Amy, when you were growing up, it was a pretty volatile household, to say the least.
It was a very volatile household.
So what were holidays like?
Well, there was an Easter that my father asked me who I wanted to live with. That was pretty much the end of Easter for me at the time.
Hi, honey, we love you. Which one of us do you want to be with?
I was dyeing Easter eggs.
Oh, well, your dad had great timing.
Years later, there was a thing. But I lost my husband right before Christmas.
You did,
so
I know.
Christmas has always been very difficult.
Well, let's talk about that. I lost Andrew in May, and I remember there's always the first Christmas without him, the first Thanksgiving without him. There's all these firsts,
Horrible.
The holidays are horrible if you've recently lost someone. They really, truly are. In the age of AIDS, I remember that too. Always so many empty plates around our table. How does one out there that may be watching or listening that maybe just lost somebody, how do they get through these holidays? How did you?
I was 23.
So you were young.
I had a 4-year-old child.
Oh.
And for me, and it was just a month before Christmas, and I threw myself into Christmas. I made new traditions. I kept up some old traditions. Most importantly,
I think you importantly said you made new traditions. So many people don't do that right away, and they revisit all the old things that they and their partners did, and it's hollow and empty, and it hurts.
Bringing my first Christmas tree home.
Was
horrible. I cried the entire day.
Oh, the ornaments. Some of these Andrew's niece and nephew made, or Andrew made, or Andrew and I went out and bought on the first Christmas. I was trying to decorate. I was bawling my eyes out.
I think it's important too, though, to listen to those things and to go through those things.
Right. I think the secret to that is you have to go through it. You know what I'm saying, girl? You know what I'm saying? There's no way, sometimes in life, there is no freaking way to avoid pain or adversity or drama or negative feelings.
Yeah.
You're gonna have them, and you're just gonna have to get through it. And I think it's the people that know that. You know, all I knew was I had to keep on keeping on. I had a life, I had dogs, I had a job, I had a house. I did not have the luxury of crawling into a ball and crying. You know, and I think over the holiday depression, more people kill themselves. They say it's a myth, but I'm telling you, in nursing homes, my mom died December 29th or 30th. My dad died December 28th. People drop like flies. People drop like flies over the holidays at the nursing homes and stuff. They just do. I don't know why, but they do. And so people have that to deal with over the holiday season. They might have an aging parent nowadays. Baby boomers are aging. Your parents can't do the same. The holidays, everyone acts like you're supposed to be holly jolly holly.
Well, of course, and maybe that's why they're so depressed. You have this huge, unrealistic stereotype that we're all walking around and ringing bells and being happy.
Facebook makes it
People would not look at you and realize what your holiday looks like. You have a child.
Oh my God. Have a fabulous kid, and we do Christmas, and we do
he has a fabulous, Jules is a fabulous. 3, 4?
Well, she's 4
now. 4, yes.
So I have a wonderful niece / fabulous niece that I'm co-parenting with. My wonderful sister, and she's great, and she makes it exciting, but it's also horribly stressful.
Right.
You have this little kid, you have to keep happy.
And they know that you're Jules. Is that a problem at any of these events?
Not at all. And I think.
Would you go if it were? Let's say you wanted to go in drag one year because you had a show and you had to show up in drag and say, look, I have a show later, I have to be in face, and they said we prefer you not. Would you still go?
No, I don't think I want to be anywhere I'm not welcome. So I would take myself out of that situation.
Right. But you know what courage that takes?
Friends.
Like, for instance, you are not this holiday season celebrating it with a friend that you would have been because this friend suddenly found God and you're too gay for this person.
Right.
Wow.
And you called me one day and said, what do I do? He's not returning my calls. He's not returning my texts. I said, well, he's not your friend anymore. And so you had to have the courage to acknowledge, you know what? He's not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
And that was hard for you, I think. I think when he unfriended you and stuff, I think it still hit you a little bit hard.
No, yeah, of course it did, because I really can't fathom how something like that could influence someone to...
It made you mad at religion, didn't it?
It did.
I know. It makes.
Absolutely.
I get angry at religion sometimes when it turns people.
It did, because suddenly he didn't have time for me anymore, but he was always posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram with his church friends.
Right, but I told you, why would you want a friend that's not returning your calls? Why would you want a friend that's not returning your texts?
That's right. I don't know.
But because it took courage. You had to get to that point where you said enough was enough.
But sometimes we just have to accept that people aren't right for us.
Andrew's father would say the N-word flippantly, like it was just commonplace speech. Oh, he said, we'll have to bleep this. He said at a holiday dinner one time when we were at the Motel 6 up in Victorville, Motel 6 Victorville. We were at this Motel 6 having a holiday dinner, and he looked outside and the pool was a little dirty, and he said them damn and just won't do the work they're supposed to.
Wow.
I looked at Andrew, and there's all this food in front of me, and I looked at Andrew and I said, you know what, I'm feeling a little sick. I need to excuse myself and go to the room. And Andrew brought the holiday deal to our hotel room, and he knew why I left and thanked me for not. So you can be related to someone and not like them. And you can love somebody and not like them. You can say, look, I love you, you're my family, but I don't like you very much. You're not a nice person. I always say do what you can over the holidays. If you have a lot of money to give presents, give them. If you don't, then don't. If you can go places, go. If you can't Skype or whatever,
I was just going to say Skype.
Right, you know what? So over the holidays, remember, do not stress because it's not worth it. Do what you can and nothing more, and you'll find out that people will say that's okay. If you don't want to be somewhere, there's not one dinner worth it. Don't go. Have the courage to say no.